Remember that one video I made about video games and censorship? That focused on the past attempts to censor video games? Well, looking at the news, video game censorship is back on the menu, boys!
With these photos of how it took place, you can see the actions within video games.
Makes you feel like you're floating.
So, what happened in the video game world that is related to censorship? Well, let's turn back the clock a bit. According to their website, Collective Shout began in 2009. There was a growing concern about the sexualization of children. The Australian Institute had released 2 groundbreaking reports on the issue in 2006. Corporate Pedophilia and Letting Children Be Children, Getting Real, Challenging the Sexualization of Girls. Spinifex Press, 2009. Followed 3 years later in 2009. Concerned individuals were asking about what could be done to address the problem. Okay, so they are a group against pedophiles. That's great, but how is this related to video games? Well, Collective Shout have been critical of video games that cover the topics above and the sexual abuse of women portrayed in games. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and defend some of the games they attacked. Some of these games just don't deserve to exist, like a game known as No Mercy. It was an incest and rape game, which in my view only existed to shock people, and Collective Shout managed to get the Australian government to ban the sale of this game. So, pretty defendable in my view, until one blog post on July 11th, 2025, which was an open letter towards payment processors like PayPal and MasterCard. In April, we exposed the sale of rape simulation game No Mercy on both Steam and itch.io gaming platforms. The game was geo-blocked in Australia following Collective Shout's complaint to the Australian Classification Board, following a global viral campaign, including a Change.org petition signed by over 70,000 concerned individuals and attracting international media attention. The game was taken down in Canada and the UK and pulled from Steam by the developer. These games, endorsing men's sexual abuse and torture of women and girls, fly in the face of efforts to address violence against women. We do not see how facilitating payment transactions and deriving financial benefit from these violent and unethical games is consistent with your corporate values and mission statements. We request that you demonstrate corporate social responsibility and immediately cease processing payments on Steam and itch.io and any other platforms hosting similar games. And when itch.io heard this, they were afraid because Collective Shout is pretty powerful, so they decided to delist all not safe for work games. All not safe for work games. Not just the ones that Collective Shout was talking about, but every single one. We have de-indexed all adult not safe for work content from our browse and search pages. We understand this action is sudden and disruptive, and we are truly sorry for the frustration and confusion caused by this change. Recently, we came under scrutiny from our payment processors regarding the nature of some content hosted on itch.io. This is a game titled No Mercy, which was temporarily available on itch.io before being banned back in April. The organization Collective Shout launched a campaign against Steam and itch.io, directing concerns to our payment processors about the nature of certain content found on both platforms. See, it wasn't just Collective Shout that pressured them, it was the payment processors like PayPal and MasterCard. And if they don't agree with what itch.io is selling, they can decide to pull out and not let anyone use their money on PayPal or MasterCard to buy these games on itch. And this is censorship because what the hell do the other not safe for work games have to do with the ones filled with rape and pedo content? Just because they are both in the same genre does not make them both be the same. And not only itch.io was hit, Steam was as well. The difference was that Steam doesn't have that many porn games. But with the pressure of these payment processors, they had to do something. And when the internet heard about this, they were not happy. itch.io basically censored every game with any relation to not safe for work, and that caused some games to be caught in the crossfire, like LGBTQ+ games on itch.io. While Collective Shout solely targeted games it said violated policies held by payment platforms, itch.io's move to temporarily remove all not savory content resulted in games with LGBTQ+ themes being removed. One petition signer, who is a member of the LGBTQ+ community, said they were concerned that banning sexual-based games would be the start of cracking down on LGBTQ+ content. Banning sexual content never stops there, it always includes non-sexual things. As such, the fight to protect people's right to sexual expression is vital for protecting my right to exist, they wrote. This was a large attack towards games because what if Collective Shout decided that now games with violence were also bad and should be removed? After a large amount of uproar from the gaming community and large scrutiny towards the payment processors, they decided to back down and allow people to buy not safe for work games. And on July 31st, 2025, they decided to re-index and not safe for work games and make them be playable, with the only caveat being they had to be free for a time because they needed to sort out some stuff with the payment processors. After all of this happened, the campaign manager Caitlin Roper stated in an interview by ABC News, Collective Shout's campaign was only intended to remove rape and incest games. We did not set out to get all not safe for work content removed. We specifically targeted rape games, games that promoted sexualized violence against women and children, she said. Collective Shout's movement director, Melinda Tankard-Rice, said the suggestion the campaign was targeting LGBT content was a slanderous lie. Collective Shout is diverse, it's a miracle it all holds together, she said, but we come around a common cause for a world free of sexploitation. So this is something that has happened recently. On the 25th of February, New York Attorney General Letitia James posted a tweet saying, Valve, a video game developer, has made billions of dollars by letting children and adults illegally gamble for a chance to win valuable virtual prizes. These features are addictive and harmful. That's why I'm suing to stop Valve's unlawful conduct and protect New Yorkers, which caused uproar like it always does with gamers. Now, what she is criticizing here is something that should be criticized. There has been a lot of gambling that has been pushed towards children. In fact, there are sites where you can gamble on Robux for Roblox. Obviously, I'm not gonna show off the names of the sites here because I'm not gonna advertise gambling. But this is a real issue with Counter-Strike, which has cases you can open which can randomly give you a weapon skin that can be worth a lot. If you really want a deep dive towards this, I recommend the People Make Games documentary about it, linked in the description. But also, Valve hasn't really done anything about these third-party sites ran in island countries with lax gambling laws. But there is an issue with what she states. See, how do I say this? Counter-Strike is rated M for mature. It is not a kids game. Now, of course, there are lots of kids still playing the game. It's not like there is some AI scanning your face that can decide if you can play a game or not. Imagine that. Foreshadowing. But ultimately, it is the responsibility of a parent to pay attention to what the hell their kids are playing. And side note, personally, I don't think you should introduce Steam to a kid who isn't at least 15. Now, in the press release, they do reference, research has shown that children who are introduced to gambling are 4 times more likely to develop a gambling problem later in life than those who are not, which some research does agree with, but there is a false statement right after this. In addition, although this case is about illegal gambling, it is important to note that Valve's promotion of games that glorify violence and guns help fuel the dangerous epidemic of gun violence, particularly among young gamers who can become numbed to grave violence before their brains are fully developed. Now, this statement pisses me off and a lot of other people. Now, warning, this is gonna get really serious. I know the intro warning was large, but I'm warning you again that we will be talking about school shootings in this segment. Please skip to the time highlighted on the screen right now if you don't want to be exposed to such topics. After the Columbine shooting, a lot of news reports blamed Doom and other violent video games for the time because Eric Harris was an avid Doom modder and had his own website filled with his own Doom maps. Bill Clinton ordered an investigation towards if there was a link between violent video games and school shooters, which was shown to be not conclusive as only 12% of school shooters played violent video games. Research has shown that there is a small link towards aggression and violent video games, but it's pretty flimsy because what is more aggression? An outside observer might wonder, how can you tell whether someone is more aggressive? Is there really a way to measure an emotional state like aggression? Well, some of the tests used in violent video game studies include A. The short story test, where a subject is given the beginning of a writing prompt. A driver crashes into Bob's car, Bob gets out of his car and approaches the driver and told to fill in what happens next. B. The noise test, where a subject is asked to press a button that delivers a terrible sound to another subject, then evaluated based on how much noise they deliver and how intense it is. C. The hot sauce test, where a subject is asked to dole out hot sauce to another subject and is evaluated based on how much sauce they give and how spicy it is. Other tests ask subjects to fill out questionnaires asking how aggressive they feel, and if all of this has you raising an eyebrow, you're not alone. Aggression is an ambiguous concept. If I get mad at a game and scream at my TV for a few seconds, am I being aggressive? That can only be measured in subjective and often arbitrary ways. Another issue with the studies that do try to link it with aggression is that they only test it short term, they don't test it for a long term experiment. The reason why video games get blamed is because they are easier to blame. It's easier to tell people that video games are at fault than violent movies, because in a movie you are a viewer, not a participant, but in video games you are the one doing something violent. The truth is, it's a hard topic to talk about, but I feel as if video games get blamed when there could be better things that may actually be the reason for these violent acts. Mental health issues that are untreated, easy access to weapons, and internet extremism are some reasons that I can think of. Video games should not sanitize themselves just because someone thinks participants giving each other hot sauce means that video games make someone kill their fellow people. This is just an ignorant attempt to try and get sympathy for trying to sue a game studio and try to blame the studio for having a game be playable to kids, rather than blame the parents who allow their kids to play rated M games. As a parent, you shouldn't allow your kid to play violent video games or not safe for work games. You should, instead of blaming the people who make the games, maybe try to actually parent your kids. And look, I'm not gonna put the fault on the parents, for example, if a video game creator or someone else makes not safe for work or violent games and doesn't properly safeguard it from minors. But it's just as stupid as going and giving your kid an iPad and then asking, why is his brain fried? But parents don't have to pay attention to what their kids are doing anymore. Not with AI face scans! Around the time of the collective shout nonsense, the UK government decided to unveil the Online Safety Act. But what is that? I hear the one person in the back saying. Well, let's read how the government explains it. The Online Safety Act 2023, the Act, is a new set of laws that protects children and adults online. It puts a range of new duties on social media companies and search services, making them more responsible for their users' safety on their platforms. The Act will give providers new duties to implement systems and processes to reduce risks their services are used for illegal activity and take down illegal content when it does appear. Sounds good, except with the fact you have to take a photo of yourself, give it to the government so that they can ID you and check if you are a child. Now, this is pretty bad because how can you be sure that this information won't be used to ID you for posting something that the government doesn't agree with? Plus, what happens to the data after you take the image? Who knows, but I mean, it's probably safe, right? The government is backing it and other countries did too with their own versions of the Online Safety Act. And companies operating in Britain also had to add it to their products like Twitter, and one of them was Discord, a platform most of you use, and it's also advertised to gamers. Discord has age verification, but also one with manual verification, where you could send a photo of yourself and government ID. Well, a hacker got access to them. Now, obviously it should be blamed more on Discord because they didn't delete the data, but this hopefully makes them realize why it's not smart to have this feature. Well, while researching for this video, Discord decided to bring the feature to Discord as a whole. Now, they have said they're against it, they're gonna be removing it, but I don't trust them that much. Now, this has been a strange turn of events in the modern times. AI face scanning has been placed on a lot of stuff, for example Roblox, and in California they are proposing to make that a feature on every operating system, including Linux. And the reason for these features is to protect kids, but it kind of falls apart because of the breach of privacy these features are. The thing about this feature, though, is when it was being implemented, it caused some social media sites to censor specific videos. Within days of the law taking effect in late 2025, X, formerly Twitter, started hiding videos of Israel's atrocities in Gaza from UK timelines via content warnings and age barriers. A law sold as safeguarding has become one of the most effective censorship tools Britain has ever built. Laws like these don't actually try to make the internet be safer, they just want to prevent people from having privacy. Our world is becoming more or less pro-censorship and anti-privacy. Some people do not want others to have the ability to express themselves, and the easiest target for censorships are video games because, let's be honest, video games aren't that important to most people. Like, if you censored a movie with violence in it, I think a lot more people would be pissed at that than they would with video games being censored, because they aren't really seen as that important. Like, not that many people care about video game history. Like, around the time I am recording this, a popular archive site, MyRent, is gonna be taken down on March 31st because of AI. Woohoo! I love AI! Which is probably the worst thing to happen because it contains so many old video games that we don't really have access to, and a lot of other stuff that are important to video game history. And with these reasons, more games become abandonware that get forgotten about and maybe even lost. Video games are different because you can truly interact with them and immerse yourself in their worlds. There is no other media where you can really do that. Except maybe a book if you're a nerd. I can't really blame groups like Collective Shout for trying to remove incest and abuse games because they are point blank bad. But I do blame them for just attacking any game that may not be safe for work. Wait a minute, they defended a pedo Netflix film Cuties? Oh, fuck these guys. But it would be wrong of me to say that these people do not have good intentions. Some of them do. Like the New York State Attorney General is good for trying to stop childhood gambling. She's just completely misinformed. And I do not agree with fully harassing them. Of course, I'm gonna make fun of them for being stupid, but I'm not gonna go around bullying them for being women or something like that. My last video on the topic was kind of pessimistic at the end, but seeing the collective shout, haha, of the video game community and the internet as a whole against censorship, there is hope in my soul that after all of this stupidity, with the AI face scanning and blaming video games on real life events, maybe people will understand why this all matters. Hopefully there will be a time where video games are seen as the artworks they are and will be protected from censorship like the other media in the world. And with that, I say farewell. Hopefully this will be the last video about video game censorship, but I mean, probably not. I mean, there's still AI face scanning stuff happening in the world, but yeah, hopefully this is all gonna stop eventually, and yeah. Bye.